Welcome to Out of My Mouth, the program where raw thoughts meet unfiltered conversations.
Join us as we dive into the depths of human experience, where we share stories, perspectives, and insights that just might challenge the status quo.
Get ready to laugh, cry, and ponder the world around you like never before. This is Out of My Mouth.
The views and opinions of our guest and hosts do not necessarily reflect those of New Thought Media Network, or any organization we may be affiliated with. Here at New Thought Media Network, we welcome freedom of speech and courageous conversations. There are many topics that can be difficult to navigate. Challenging the status quo and engaging in lively debate is important to expanding our understanding of one another, and life in general. Creating a peaceful world doesn't happen because no one disagrees, it happens from a willingness to understanding one another. In our programming, we strive to expand consciousness and assist people in creating remarkable lives. Your comments are welcome at info@ntmedia.org.
Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to Out of My Mouth. I'm Barbara Jean.
And I'm Cheryl Rogers.
And let us begin with our land acknowledgement. In the spirit of reconciliation and peace, we are grateful for the opportunity to meet on these sacred lands. We thank the generations of people who have taken care of this land for thousands of years. We recognize our oneness. We realize our history, and we choose to create a new reality. We are one. Miigwech.
Miigwech. Thank you, Reverend Doctor. I'm thinking about our guest today, Barbara Jean, who's Reverend Dr. Paul Hasselbeck. It is my honor and my privilege to be able to introduce my friend and to be able to call him my friend as well, Reverend Dr. Paul Hasselbeck. He has a Bachelor of Science in Biology, a Doctorate of Dental Surgery, and he's an ordained Unity minister. He was also the Dean of the Unity School at one time. And people have called Reverend Paul a leading metaphysics authority. He's had a major role in bringing Unity metaphysics into the 21st century. And with a genuine passion for clarity and precision, Paul guides his students to awaken awareness and deepen understanding. He's an author, international speaker, workshop leader, teacher, and metaphysical coach. And he also co-hosts Metaphysical Romp 2 with two other people, which is a weekly internet radio program and can be found on iTunes and Stitcher. So welcome.
Wow, that was a lot. Did I actually do all of that?
I know, and that's why I had to say that, because, yeah, you have accomplished so much in your life and done so much, not just for yourself, but for others.
Yes.
You know, in this wonderful spiritual journey that we're all on. So I wanted to acknowledge that. And I did ask you, Paul, before we started, how you would like to be referred to, as Reverend Dr. Paul Hasselbeck, or Reverend Dr. Hasselbeck, Reverend Paul. And what did you say to me?
Paul, simply Paul.
Thank you. You. He said, Cheryl, how long have you known me for?
Yes. I did actually do it the way. How long have you known me? And what do you think I want to be called? And she was correct, Paul. I would hope most people who know me know that about me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think they probably do. I just, you know, when you're on a show like this, I want to be able to, you know, let people know that I've checked that with you and that I'm not disrespecting you in any way by calling you Paul, which I think is important, you know, so hence my question.
It is an important question.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So today we are talking about living with AIDS and the stigma around it. And I wonder, Paul, if you could start by telling us a little bit about your story and background with this topic.
Okay. That's always a good place to start, right? The beginning.
The beginning.
So, in the 80s, I had an active dental practice in San Juan, Puerto Rico. And one day, I remember the day very well, and you're going to understand why.
Mm-hmm.
It was a normal Monday for a January day in Puerto Rico. If you're thinking exquisitely beautiful, you got it. Okay. Mm-hmm. The weather then is just crazy beautiful. So about mid-morning, I heard someone come into the office. I was treating another patient at the time. And after my patient left, my front desk receptionist asked me if I would speak with the people who came into the waiting room. And I said, sure. And I went in and I sat down next to him. And there was a youngish man. He might have been in his early 20s, and his mother. And as his mother just asked me, will you treat my son? And I said, well, the blanket answer is always yes. And she said, well, my son has 4th stage AIDS, and we have been to 10 previous dentists, and all of them refused to treat him. And well, what I want you to know is I took an oath that I would treat anyone who came through my doors. Mm-hmm. So you and your son are very welcome. And so I brought him back into my treatment room. We took x-rays, the whole 9 yards, and found out he indeed had a tooth that needed to be extracted. And that was the one that was causing him all his pain. And so I proceeded to, anesthetize him, get him ready, reassure him. And as I was in the process of extracting the tooth, I put one of my instruments to the palm of my hand. Mm. This hand, basically not through it. It wasn't sticking out here to it. And I knew there was enough blood on that, and I knew it was deep enough that it might be a problem. And I had one of those weird, I call them woo-woo-licious experiences. But as I was walking to the sink to wash my hands so I could put new gloves on, I heard a voice say, "Here it is."
Wow.
No idea exactly what that meant, but here it is. And so I treated him, and he left. And I only know that shortly after the extraction, he died. And I was pretty sure I infected myself. What does "here it is" mean? However, I did have to go through nearly a 6-month waiting period.
Wow.
In order for there to be enough virus in my blood so that when they tested it, they could confirm that I had HIV. It wasn't a horrible waiting period because I kind of sort of knew. And that started me on this journey to to being on this program, we could say, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
we could probably look at a lineage of how that happened. And so it was frightening.
Mm-hmm.
It was there was a lot of uncertainty because
Mm-hmm.
not much was known back then in 1987. And for that period, I continued treating patients. I always had the habit from my time in the U.S. Navy of always wearing mask and gloves. And actually, when I opened my office in Puerto Rico, there were people who were insulted by it.
Wow.
And I would have to explain to them, the primary reason is I'm protecting you from me.
Mm.
And so that helped do some education,
Mm-hmm.
And once I got the positive diagnosis back, I met with my doctor and he laid it out for me. You're going to be dead in 2 years. Get your life in order.
Yeah.
Because that was the typical pathway once a person was discovered to have AIDS in their bodies.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember saying to him something like, that's what the minds of this earth believe.
Yeah.
And I believe there is a greater mind. So I'm going to trust in that. It wasn't as awkward as that at the time. It was, I was kind of smooth-tongued about it. I mean, I didn't want to insult the doctor, but I just wanted to let him know I'm not going to take that death sentence.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I did do things to prepare
Mm-hmm.
for that outcome.
Wow.
And so, any other questions?
Well, that's interesting to me because if I'm not mistaken, that was before you even found unity.
It was about the same time because it was somewhere in the time frame of 86, 87, 88 that I had with another person, with a woman. She and I were doing Course in Miracles groups once or twice a week, and we were focused on the English population. And it was that group that decided that we wanted something on Sunday. We didn't want it to be a Course in Miracles because the group to the very last person believed that the Course in Miracles was a one person at a time thing, not a churchy thing, not a preachy thing. And so we decided we would find out where we might be welcome. And it was somebody in our group who knew that there was a Unity Church in Santurce and that they hosted a lot of Course in Miracles groups. So we knew we would be welcome there. And so I went to visit that church and met the minister then. You might know her. She's a Unity minister, Norma Rosado, who had a very large church. She had a church of over 400 at that time. And I met with her and she agreed that she would host an English service in her church.
Wow.
And so that's how the way we said it at the time was somehow we became founders of the only English speaking Unity Church in Puerto Rico without knowing what Unity was. That's where we were, And I hope you two and your listeners have experiences like that in your life where you simply do what you know is yours to do,
Yeah.
and you do it, and you don't know where things are going to fall out.
Yeah.
It's,
Absolutely.
it's so interesting to have those experiences. I moved to Toronto to start a CSL center here, and I had $40 in my pocket. I had a one-way plane ticket, and somebody offered for me to sleep on their sofa until I found a place, and came here with nothing. And it was that same thing where you just do because you know you got to. It's time to
it's
go.
that I call it, I know that I know that I know that that's mine to do.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, and the reason that I'm going to go back to what we just spoke about, because I find it fascinating that you had said before you discovered unity, there's a greater mind, and you didn't accept the diagnosis. And we know in New Thought and in Unity, Myrtle Fillmore healed herself from tuberculosis through her mind, basically. So it seems like these things were all happening around the same time. And yes, it sounds like you did know it was yours to do.
Yes. So Course in Miracles, basic definition for God is mind. And the understanding is that somehow, some way we are that mind and we can access it. And so that's where I was coming from.
Okay. And the two just align so beautifully.
Yeah. So the way Course in Miracles and Unity align, in fact, I wrote a book with a friend, Bill Heller, called Unity and Course in Miracles. When he came to school, he came to visit me, and he said, can we do something about this problem in Unity churches where A Course in Miracles isn't even accepted, or there are Course in Miracles groups in the church, but they don't commingle with the Unity congregations. So we decided to write this book as a way to connect the two congregations, because in a sense, the Course in Miracles groups that were meeting in the church, they were like a mini congregation, and we wrote it. I don't know if it did that, and it's been fairly popular. And thank you to the producer for putting that up there.
Yeah, no, that's great. And I mean, a Center for Spiritual Living is the same thing. We believe in that basically our thoughts, words, and deeds are what create our reality, and that we don't have to accept what people tell us. We can formulate our own belief, our own BS, right?
Yes, our own BS,
system.
our own belief system.
Correct.
And it's not only that we can, we do.
We do. Exactly. We do. Absolutely.
We absolutely do.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So, Barbara Jean, do you mind if I carry on? I feel like I'm on a roll here. But I want you to come in as well and talk about what you're doing and how that relates to the topic. But one of the other things, I think to myself, I mean, that's 37 years ago. And a lot of people don't understand that today, 37 years later, HIV and AIDS is still an issue. And that one can actually live with HIV.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit more?
Yes. So that's the miracle of medicine, and in Unity, we've never said no to doctors and stuff like that, and so I mean, I'm definitely here because of medicines and because how I use my mind and meditation and prayer and ask other people to pray before those medicines came online. And today, HIV does not have to be a death sentence.
That's right.
However, a lot of people die every year from AIDS, just within the United States. And when we looked it up, there were quite a few of deaths also in Canada. So the disease isn't gone. However, it's gone into a category that we could call a manageable chronic disease. Yes. Other examples would be like diabetes is a chronic manageable disease. So I'm still taking medications. I haven't stopped, but those medications have churned a bit. In the early ages, the earlier period, I was going through HIV meds almost as fast as new ones were coming online. My body would eventually reject them. But you really pointed out something I don't think long enough. So it was 37 years ago, and I've been living longer with AIDS than I lived without it.
Wow.
You know, it's like, what?
Yeah.
You know, what?
Yeah.
And here I am, and I'm strong, and I'm healthy, and I'm having some of the challenges of being in the older age group.
Yeah. Don't we just love those older age groups?
Yeah. So we have to treat that stuff just like I treated the HIV when I infected myself. And I don't want to ignore the idea that we kind of talked about at the beginning or on the show prep, and that is, back then, the stigma around HIV was through the roof.
Yeah.
And the scientists and the government screwed up and promoted some of the stigma.
Yes.
But that did eventually get turned around, but it really demonstrates that when government makes announcements or pronouncements, once the people of the population believe it, it's hard to change it.
Yeah.
And so my hope is that we would learn from that and not repeat that mistake.
Yeah.
And there's still a lot of stigma in a number of religions. And then that comes back to sexuality, where the assumption is, well, you have HIV because you're a gay man or whatever. And I think that has been really difficult for a number of people who are maybe raised with religion, and then they're rejected by the churches that they've grown up in or the religious body that they've been a part of. And I think that's been one of the big challenges too, is, here we are as ministers, and we should be caring for those who need care. And in many cases, they're being pushed away because of misunderstandings. We don't understand the illness, and so we just keep you at a distance. One of my members, a few years back, he cut his finger on something, and I went to get him a bandage to bandage it up, and he's like, don't come near me, don't come near me. And I went, I can come near you, it's okay. I'm I don't have any open sores, and believe me, this is fine. So I think even people who don't have it don't understand it, but people who have it sometimes don't understand exactly what it is. And the fear that the government put out, I think it kind of rates right up there with the pandemic, really create some grief for people by the level of fear that you promote in them. So that's not a great thing, but it happens.
No. And like you said, we really need to go forward being aware And I'm just going to say it. It's a great failure of the Christian church in North America that don't even follow Jesus's teachings.
Yeah. It's true.
It's just a failure. And in fact, I don't know when it was now. It was 5 years ago or maybe even longer. I just decided I'm not going to be Christian anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Because I couldn't resonate with what the Christian church had done historically, what the Christian church had done to me. And it was like, okay, I'm done. Yeah. I'm done. Yeah.
I think I was reading a book a while ago, and one of the quotes in it was from a Brit. I can't remember his name offhand. And he said, Christianity hasn't failed. It just hasn't been tried yet.
Well, okay. I could go along with that, except that really doesn't nail the coffin on how bad the church has been.
Yeah.
It's horrible. Just horrible.
Absolutely.
And horrible.
Yeah. And continues to be, unfortunately.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think fundamentally where that comes from is that Christianity is not accepting of other religions.
Exactly.
Okay. And so when you're starting from that point, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Downhill you're going.
Yeah. Well, and like you said, it doesn't seem that they follow Jesus's teachings in the true sense of the word. And so that's where I struggle with Christianity. And for me, it's a lot of it is man-made.
All of it.
Yeah, all of it. Religion is man-made, right? Religion, any religion is man-made.
Yes.
There's a foundation that man, who at whichever time was able to hook onto and then build upon, and have some power and control.
How do I control the masses? Let me find a way.
I
think that's it. Well, we're going to take a short little commercial break. We're at about our halfway point here, and the conversation is getting warmed up. I love it. So don't go away. You're watching Out of My Mouth here on the New Thought Media Network, and we're going to be right back. See you soon.
Please help us say thank you to our organizational sponsors, including the Hefferland Foundation, Affiliated New Thought Network, International New Thought Alliance, Science of Mind Archives and Library Foundation, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, New Thought Philadelphia, Planned Happiness Institute, Summit Center for Spiritual Living, One Heart Retreats, Center for Spiritual Living on the Lake, Unity Spiritual Center, Kitchener, Om Center for Spiritual Living, La Mesa, Satya Center, Center for Spiritual Living, North Jersey, Unity of Savannah, and Center for Spiritual Living, Seattle, as well as all of our individual donors. Thank you for making New Thought Media Network a place to be. Please Come be you. And remember, like, share, and subscribe. New Thought. New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Well, welcome back, everyone. And our guest today is the Reverend Dr. Paul Hasselbeck, and we're talking about the stigma of living with HIV/AIDS. So here we go. We were just talking about churches.
Yeah.
And how they're kind of missing the boat on this one a little bit, not taking care of the congregation the way it should.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you deal with the stigma? I don't know if you still have any challenges in that area, but I think being rejected, especially in a religious organization or spiritual organization, to be rejected because of an illness, I think is kind of horrific. It's hard to believe it happens, but it does.
Yes, and it still does happen. And
It does, yeah.
Any overt rejection, I'm not aware of any of it happening with me.
Mm-hmm.
However, because of the fear of that, it creates a way of moving through the world that isn't as free as I would have liked to have been.
Right.
And so I had a really great learning through this process.
Mm-hmm.
And it mostly focuses around my family.
Yeah.
Because when I was a kid, I can remember my father saying to my middle brother, "Don't you go gay on me." And so I knew that was a place I couldn't go, even though I already knew I was there, you know. And so I have a little bit of a strange sense of humor, and you're going to learn about it right now. So I have a really good example. So at one point, the HIV, the AIDS in me had crossed the marker that moves a person from HIV to AIDS. At that time, it was a 200 T cell count, and I had dropped below that. And at that point, I knew I had to bring my mother and my father and my brothers into my secret. Mm-hmm. And I want to acknowledge that often when we come out to our parents, they then go into the closet. Mm. So I hadn't ever said anything about my sexuality with my parents, though in some way I used to say they have to be deaf, dumb, blind, and stupid not to realize I was gay. But it came that time that I knew I was going to have to tell my parents, because they would be first, because I didn't want to be sick when I told them, overtly sick. Okay. Mm-hmm. Because that would give them another burden to handle. Mm-hmm. when I had two things to tell them. And so I would go home at Christmas time, and about 6 months before Christmas time, what would that be? That'd be June or July. I had a realization, and I wish I could remember what triggered it, but I had the realization that I couldn't go home and tell my parents these two things, that I was gay and HIV positive, and which having AIDS would have been actually more accurate.
Yep.
So I cleaned it up a bit. Why? Because of phobias and fear I might get rejected from my family.
Mm-hmm.
And what I realized, and I hope our viewers and listeners will understand this. I realized that I couldn't confront my parents with this information and expect them to accept me if I wasn't willing to accept them, if they rejected me on this information.
Wow.
Okay. So just let that settle for a moment. That's a really important detail. Often we go in this conversations demanding the other people be a certain way when we're wanting them to be accepting us as we are. That's the way to go in the conversation. So I remember that when I got home, I told my parents, like on the second day, I need to have a conversation with you both. And I asked them when they would like to have it. And their question was, well, what's it about? This is where my weird sense of humor comes in. I said, well, only thing I'm willing to tell you right now is that there's good news and bad news. I myself up when I do that. So we sat down in their living room, and I said, so I told you I have good news and bad news. And they said, well, I said, so which one would you like to hear first? And they said the good news. And I said, well, the good news is I'm your gay son. I am a gay man. And my dad said, if that's the good news, what's the bad news? And I said, well, the bad news is I am HIV positive. And I'm starting to have problems with that. And I thought it was only fair to let you know. I think it's fair to say they were stunned. Because not much else was said, and we got up and we went to bed, and I didn't know what I was going to experience the next morning. However, I still kept at the forefront of my mind, however they reacted or responded, it was my responsibility to accept them right where they were.
Wow, that's beautiful.
So, and I got to tell you, this is the way I lived my life from that point. And so when I came down for breakfast in the morning, my dad was there, which was not normal. It was usually my mom. And my dad said something like, I heard your news. All I need to know is, are you happy? And I said, I am for sure happy. And he said, well, I'm your father. I'm going to love you no matter what. Well, I'm starting to tear up right here at that point. And then at a later point, my mother had me alone, and the same conversation happened, except my mother said, I heard you. I'll never accept what you shared. I need to know if you're happy. I told her, yes, I'm happy. And she said, well, I'm your mother. I'm going to love you, but I will never accept that you're a gay man and have AIDS. And I said, well, mother, what you accept is none of my business. And I'm going to accept you just the way you are.
Beautiful.
And know that I love you. And so it turned out really well. It could have turned out I was on the street, but being thrown out on the street at 30 something years old, well, I had credit cards and money in my pocket, and I knew how to get home. You know what I mean? So I chose to tell my brothers in a letter. So I sent them a letter and I copied my parents so they would know. And only my oldest brother called me, and he was very much fundamental Christian. So I didn't know what to expect from him. And he said, Paul, I got your letter. And what I want you to know is I have my sin and you have your sin, so we can just move forward from that, which was like totally unexpected. But it's a really good take on the teaching of the Christian church that we're all sinners. So he can't make a big deal about my sin because I don't have the right to make a big deal about his sin. So it was a rather advanced way of thinking, I thought.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. Well, it's basically non-judgmental.
Yep.
Right? Which is beautiful in itself.
Yes. And the same thing as the way I treated my parents. I had to be in a state where I could be non-judgmental with them because I was delivering an information that was life-changing for them. Because like I said earlier, they had to go into the closet because they didn't want their friends to know that I was gay and had AIDS because of all the stigma around it. So
I have a question, Paul, with regards to, when you first started telling us about telling your parents, there were two distinct things. The one is I'm gay and the one is I have HIV/AIDS. And people who know your story know that you didn't get it from being gay.
Yes.
And yet the assumption is, I'm sure, when you tell people, there's an assumption that it comes from being gay.
Yes.
And
so that is the absolute truth. And no matter how much, so I gave up trying to convince people. That's where I got it. Nice. But I also had to add, yes, I'm a gay man. I might have had it when I was treating that young kid, but there were no tests to know anyway. So what's the difference if a person has HIV?
Exactly. What's the difference?
It's a disease that we have to treat with the fullness of our humanity.
I agree.
And we're starting to see it affecting a lot of women these days, where I think that's something that maybe people never really thought would happen because they've tied it to one way of getting it. That's not the only way. There's people born with it. It's
blood transfusions.
Yeah, blood transfusion. There's all kinds of ways to get HIV. And
so another thought I had is, we're talking about this starting up basically 40 years ago with HIV/AIDS became a really forefront topic. And I wonder, now we talk about the Gen Zs and the Gen Xs and all the different generations. Are we doing enough? Are they getting enough education to understand HIV/AIDS in today's time? I
have no idea. My guess would be probably not, because it hasn't impacted their generation.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
It probably impacts a few individuals. I don't know what the transmission rate is for HIV right now. However, it's pretty certain that the transmission of HIV is probably primarily happening around drug users who use injectables and share needles and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's passed on.
Good points, though, saying that, because it doesn't affect their generation. And that's really when people become educated is when it has an impact on them and their surroundings.
Well, there's a recent kind of sort of example. I think the three of us, I don't know, I should just keep it in my camp, shouldn't I? I remember getting the polio vaccine in elementary school.
Yeah.
And polio got kind of eliminated. And so we didn't have to think about it. We heard about it, but as generations got born, it wasn't a big deal. However, polio is coming back. And so they're going to have to learn about it. Why? Because people won't take the vaccine.
Yeah. That's the challenge right now with measles as well.
Absolutely.
And you've got some people, some children who have an illness or whatever and cannot be vaccinated. And then they're around kids that their parents chose not to vaccinate them. And they end up catching measles or something. And for them, it could be fatal.
Yep. That was always the case with measles.
Yeah. People treat it like it's nothing, but that's not the case. When I went I've got another booster for polio, which surprised me, but
and this isn't the topic, but it's the topic because it's, and we could call it just infectious diseases. COVID, things aren't being reported about it anymore, and so it's going on the back burner. I have most of my friends I have to re-educate. I have to say, COVID may look like the flu. You might experience it like the flu, but it's not the flu. And they say, well, what's the big deal? I say, I know at least 2 people who have long COVID, and they are miserable. And believe me, you do not want COVID. It's not as simple as the flu. So, I mean, that's a public service announcement. Another one.
It is.
But
why are we getting those from somewhere else, right?
Yeah. Well, with my medical background, I tend to keep on top of things more than most people do. I do, and because I have HIV and it's an immunodeficiency disease, though I have a normal immune system supposedly. You can't trust that. So just 3 days ago, a friend asked me to go out with a group of our friends, and I knew one of them was sick with a cold, and I said, I can't go. And if you choose to go, that's fine, but I can't see you, for until 5 or 6 days after you saw him. That's just how I'm protecting myself. And I'm the guy you see on the airplane with a double mask. Or most recently I was in the Big Sky retreat, and I was asked to be a presenter. And when we were in the conference room, I wore a double mask. To me, it's just smart.
Yeah, absolutely. And
by the way, who wants the cold? A common cold. I mean, it's like, not fun.
No, not at all.
It's a bit miserable.
Yes, indeed. So, do you have any other questions?
Well, I can't remember the saying, and I heard it, and I don't know where I heard it. Something about if you can't see it, you don't have it. Or it's got something to do with a count. If you don't have, when you have a blood test today, it's so low, the count is so low that you don't even see that you have HIV. Is that correct?
Yes. So let's sharpen that pencil a little bit. Okay.
Thank you.
So I'm a weird case, and my HIV has been undetectable since 1996, continuously without interruption, which is like, what?
Fantastic. Yeah.
However,
There you go. Thank you, Deja.
Yeah. When it's undetectable, you cannot share it. So
yes, exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
Yes.
I really prefer that you
Share.
cannot share. I cannot share it. Okay.
Yeah.
And as a sexually active man, a few years ago, I only was sexually active with other people who were HIV positive. Well, that new information has gotten out, and so I mean, I disclose, and then if the guy says no, the guy says no. I mean, it's like, yeah. I mean, we say no to people because they're the wrong body weight or have the wrong color hair. Well, HIV is another one we can add to that list, right?
Yeah.
So it's just so I'm undetectable, so I cannot infect anybody.
Right. Yeah.
As long as I stay on my medications.
Okay.
That's the key. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's good to know. It's good to know, and it's to hear that basically your immune system is what we call normal. I don't know what normal is anymore in life with anything. But that you look after yourself, you do what you need to do to take care of yourself.
Exactly.
To not jeopardize that.
So to put a number on it, it's something around 1,000 T cells, and is considered normal, 1,000 and above. And I'm at 1,400 or 1,500. So I'm
fabulous.
I have something of an immune system, right?
Yeah.
But here's the tricky part. The very tricky part is that, so I'll be a first person again. So when I got AIDS, my immune system was destroyed. Okay. Because I got way down to like 150 T cells. Well, when I went on the meds, those are the T cells that replicated. Let's put it that way. I'm making this simplistic, but Cheryl, in your immune system, and Barbara, in yours, there's a memory of every infection you've ever encountered. So if you encounter it again, you either don't know it or it's a very mild case. In my case, all the critters or let's call them cooties, all the cooties that my body was exposed to up to that HIV infection, that memory was lost. And so whenever I was exposed to one of those cooties, well, I don't have, my body doesn't have that memory. So it has to start from zero in creating immunity. So we may have I have a normal immune system numerically, but there's no way to test how much of that memory was lost.
Well, that's very interesting. Yeah. Very interesting. So that's another way that it makes you more susceptible and vulnerable.
I just assume I am. And so I don't take the precautions I used to take, but you already know I wear masks. And if I'm going to be with a large group of people, if we're going to be on an airplane, for goodness sakes, it's like putting in a giant closet with a bunch of people, right? And they're all breathing on you. And so I'm even masked up in the airport because there's a lot of people in those waiting areas.
There is. There really
and
is.
I don't know what bullet I'd have done by doing that, but I've done it. So that's why I'm urging you on an airplane, in an airport,
Mm-hmm.
That's minimal protection.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good advice.
Yeah.
Good advice. Thank you, Paul.
Yeah. Well, and we're down to our last 5 minutes.
Wow.
It goes by quickly.
Yep.
And what we like to do at the end is just ask you to share one thing from today that you think is really important for our guests to take away from today's conversation.
Wow, there's a few, aren't there?
There are.
I think the bigger picture one that I talked about in reference to telling my mom and dad that I was gay and HIV positive is that whenever you're expecting someone else to accept you,
Yeah,
you have to be willing to accept them if they don't accept you.
yeah,
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a two-way street.
Boy, that
Yeah.
so true, and that is so powerful. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I love that. What about you, Cheryl? What do you?
For me, what I appreciate is learning more and being able to ask questions and understand at a deeper level the experience of having HIV/AIDS and the stigma around it. And so I would invite people to be more open and curious and ask questions and learn more rather than making assumptions about someone who you may come across with HIV/AIDS.
Yeah.
Let's stop rejecting each other. You know,
Yeah.
you know, we're part of unity, and we act as though there's, you know, separation and division, and the name in itself tells us there isn't. So I think remembering that, and I really do love what you said, Paul, about telling your parents and getting your head in the framework that if they don't accept me, I accept them anyway for where they stand. And for me in my ministry, it's always been come as you are.
Yeah.
You will be loved. You will be cared for, not necessarily by the rest of the congregation.
Yeah, right. Because you can't. There is actually one more thing I want to share really quickly because it's been very important in my life. There's a teaching from the Course in Miracles that says, "In my vulnerability, my safety lies."
Oh, I love that.
Right? We are told that being vulnerable is dangerous. It's hiding yourself behind walls of secrets that makes you the most vulnerable. So after I told my parents, I was pretty good at just letting people know. And when I was in the retreat department for Unity, you would be surprised the number of people that would say, "Why do you feel like you have to share that?" Yeah. And you know what? I had to accept them for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And one more thought, because we've spoken about religion and churches and Christianity, and it's the same thing, right? It's like if we want to be accepted for who we are, for us to be able to accept others as they are as well.
Yes.
Absolutely. Well, this has been fantastic. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Cheryl.
Welcome.
Deja in the background, thank you so much. And for those of you who are watching, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And for sure, share this message. It's so powerful and so important. You're watching the New Thought Media Network. This is Out of Your Mouth. And we wish you a wonderful week, and we'll see you again next time. Bye for now.
Bye.
On behalf of everyone at New Thought Media Network, thank you for being a member of our virtual family. Your financial contributions help share the New Thought message with people from around the world. Please visit and contribute at www.ntmedia.org/donate. New Thought Media Network. Come be you. And please like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, peace and blessings.